Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking an absolute masterclass in atmospheric tension. It's a microfiction piece called The Carousel of Painted Whispers. We're going to look really closely at how this spooky little tale uses deliberate structural beats to build a ton of dread, and it does it all without relying on cheap jump scares or gore. So let's get right into the story. Okay, let's dive into this. Never follow whispers after sunset. That ultimate warning from the villagers, that serves as the absolute foundation for our entire narrative. Right away, in literally just 6 words, this quote instantly establishes the incredibly high stakes of the story. It sets a very clear boundary, sunset, and an immediate threat, the whispers. The very moment our protagonist crosses this line, we, as the audience, already know that the rules of safety have been totally broken, and he is in terrible danger. It's just an incredibly efficient way to hook us into the lore of the woods before we even see what's actually out there. Now, of course, to make that danger feel real, we need a protagonist whose safety we actually care about. Look at how the text builds Milo. He's a timid 12-year-old boy. He's got round cheeks, curious brown eyes, messy black hair, and this oversized green jacket. And, absolutely crucially, he carries a glowing lantern that was carved by his grandfather. I mean, think about this contrast for a second. We have the creeping, terrifying darkness of the woods paired directly against this incredibly innocent, harmless, and almost cheerful appearance. It automatically establishes this universal connection with his vulnerability. Because he's armed with literally nothing but an oversized jacket and a grandfather's keepsake, we feel deeply, deeply protective of him as he wanders into these quiet woods. So how exactly does the story pull Milo, and honestly us, into the trap? Well, it does it step by step. Let's track the escalation of his journey here. First, strange voices call his name, but notice the text specifically says they use gentle laughter. It disarms him, right? It sounds friendly. But then the physical environment reacts. The grandfather's lantern actually flickers in the evening light. That's a huge physical sign that his protective safety net is starting to fade. Finally, tiny smiling footprints literally shimmer across the forest floor. This brilliantly builds suspense because it escalates the lore from just an auditory whisper to a physical, visual trail. It shows perfectly how human curiosity, drawn by shimmering tracks and gentle sounds, often completely overrides those cautious warnings we just talked about. You can almost feel him stepping further and further away from safety with every single step. Now, what's really interesting about this part is the stark juxtaposition we get once Milo actually finds the source of those footprints. On one hand, we have the movement. Milo uncovers this forgotten, vine-covered carousel. The bright painted animals are slowly turning, but it's completely silent. There is absolutely no music playing. But then, consider the subjects on the carousel. As he steps closer, the text reveals that every carved face on the ride is twisting into frozen expressions of sheer fear. It's a deeply unsettling visual trap. The innocent, familiar physical movement of a childhood ride clashes violently with the terrifying realization of what the riders are actually experiencing. It twists a classic symbol of joy into an absolute nightmare. And right at that exact moment of visual realization, the entire audio landscape of our story shifts. The whispers became children's voices begging him to leave before the ride stopped. Remember that gentle laughter from earlier? Yeah, that was just the bait. Now that Milo is close enough, the sensory details change drastically. That auditory shift from a gentle lure to desperate begging voices illustrates the trap tightening right around him. The illusion is dropping, the gentle laughter is totally gone, and the terrible reality of these trapped souls is finally coming through loud and clear. They know exactly what happens when the movement ends. Then, the mechanism stops. The carousel halted. Silence swallowed the woods. Just take a second to really feel the weight of those short, punchy sentences, the absolute, suffocating absence of sound. This is the dramatic, terrifying turning point in the narrative. All of that slow, creeping movement we were just analyzing, it has completely ceased. In suspense building, a sudden silence is often far, far more deafening and frightening than a sudden loud noise. We are essentially holding our breath right alongside Milo, just waiting to see what the silence brings. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what was lurking in that silence. Just take in the visceral tactile imagery here. One wooden fox lifted its head. Its painted smile stretches impossibly wide. And as his lantern dims, shadowy hands emerged beneath every animal, searching for living fingers to replace their own cracked wooden ones. This text visualizes the immediate threat with just incredible precision. we finally see the true malevolent nature of the woods. It's not just scary, it's hungry. That specific detail of wanting living fingers to replace cracked wooden ones, that is a deeply unsettling physical threat that grounds the whole fantasy in pure body horror.
So the trap is fully sprung, and Milo has to run. Let's look at this escape sequence. Milo runs frantically, clutching that warm lantern, which is really his only tether to safety and his grandfather's love. But notice this detail. The previously absent carousel music now follows him through the trees. Think about that. When the carousel was actually turning, it was totally silent. Now that he's running for his life, the music suddenly starts playing. It's a chilling sensory addition that acts as this tainted escape. It's actively chasing him out of the woods. He does manage to escape the forest before dawn, trembling yet alive, but that haunting music absolutely ensures we know this experience is going to stick with him.
Which brings us right to the aftermath, the lingering curse. You might think escaping the woods and beating the dawn means the story is over. But true horror follows you home. Let's examine how the narrative completely subverts the idea of sanctuary, even once Milo is supposedly completely safe behind his own front door. So the crucial point is seeing exactly how this curse takes hold chronologically. First, before dawn, we have the frantic escape from the woods. He survives the immediate physical threat. But then, back home, comes the horrific realization. His grandfather's lantern, his ultimate symbol of safety and warmth, now has a fresh wooden smile identical to the fox's, carved right into its side. The sanctuary has been breached. And finally, the cycle locks in. Every autumn afterward, the lantern itself quietly whispers Milo's name from the darkness. The narrative maps the cyclical nature of the curse so perfectly. Milo's survived physically, sure, but there is a permanent loss of his innocence. The woods have marked him, and the very object that kept him safe is now the corrupted thing calling him back.
Ultimately, everything we've looked at today, from the innocent protagonist to the jarring sensory shifts, serves a very specific purpose in building dread. And it leaves us with this final, lingering question. If your name was whispered from the darkness, would you be able to resist following it? It's a pretty provocative thought about our universal, almost fatal human urge to follow the unknown, to chase the shimmering footprints and the gentle laughter, even when we've been explicitly warned not to. Well, I really hope this explainer has captivated you by revealing the precise mechanics behind this dark fantasy. Thank you so much for joining me to explore the Carousel of Painted Whispers. Keep analyzing the stories you read, stay curious, and hey, maybe think twice the next time you hear a whisper in the dark.